welcome to the Retro Release Podcast, the podcast where we go through a video game's development from before it comes out and then after it comes out. That's not as elegant as I would have liked, but anyway, I'm Will, and this week I'm joined by Michael.
Michael, yeah?
Yeah, we tried this once before, but the dog decided to start barking, so we had to... We thought, oh, it won't be that bad, and then you could hear this, like...
It's a very high-pitched bark, so it permeates everything.
You could be like in a different house, as we've discovered. When you're outside, you can hear it down the street.
You can. You genuinely.
It's horrendous, but we love her anyway, don't we? She gets the job done. She's a dog.
Nah, she's horrible.
She's horrible. She's horrible. She abuses me.
She does, genuinely. Bites.
Yeah, she does actually. She does bite. She's horrendous. But yeah, this week it's me and Michael, and we're going to talk about one of our favourite games, Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yeah.
Which I've not played in a long time. I didn't play it in preparation for this as I've done with some of the other episodes, but I think that's because I played it so much when I was younger. It's not like I'm unfamiliar with it.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, like, it's... Like, so many of the memories are just burnt into my head.
Yeah.
I don't think there's much need to replay it.
Which I would say is going to come up a lot. We're going to talk a lot about little things that we remember, I think.
Yeah.
Like the rocket car, Mr. Burns' mansion, the Halloween level,
definitely.
all those good bits. And for people that haven't played it, that's all going to sound a bit strange, but I mean, I assume you're listening to this because we try and pick games that people have played.
Yeah, I mean, even if people haven't necessarily played it, they'll have probably watched the Simpsons.
Yeah,
like...
or if you've played Grand Theft Auto, you've played The Simpsons Hit and
Run. Yeah, basically.
Yeah.
Except we have the, guns and hookers.
Yeah, it's like a PG. Well, The Simpsons is like PG, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was Simpsons PG? Is it like 15? No, it can't be 15.
No, it's not Family Guy. It's PG, definitely.
Yeah, because Family Guy has like... Simpsons does a couple of Family Guy type, like, inappropriate jokes, but it's never like... They get like away with like one an episode or something.
Yeah.
Or they infer something. They never actually like do it. Like in the Simpsons movie when Homer jumps in the hole and he's putting his middle fingers up. And,
yes, yeah.
I think that's in this report. That's in this report somewhere. I think I can't remember exactly why. It'll be a surprise for me as much as it will for you. But yeah, we're doing the Simpsons Hit and Run, and I thought we'd start by doing a bit of an intro just to talk about what the game is. Not necessarily start its conceptualization, but what it is and what sort of the Wikipedia page says about it immediately, and we'll see if that's representative of our experience with the game. So to start, The Simpsons Hit and Run is a Grand Theft Auto-inspired Simpsons game developed by Radical Entertainment, and it was released on the 16th of September 2003 for GameCube, PlayStation 2, and Xbox. Now, we only had it on PlayStation 2, I think.
Yeah, we had it, I remember. Yeah, because it was your PlayStation 2.
Yeah, because I remember that time our dad went to the, was it a gas station for all the American listeners, or a petrol station, and he went and got a PlayStation 2? Or was it somewhere else?
It was Blockbuster.
Was it Blockbuster?
It was the old Blockbuster near Walkden. Walkden's only about 10 minutes drive away. But he was the old Blockbuster that used to be near the Tesco there.
Yeah, because he just walked in and then walked out with a bag, and he was like, I've got a PlayStation 2.
It was a PlayStation Slim.
Oh, yeah, because we had the thick one before that, and it basically died. Yeah, because they're pretty terrible.
And we still have that.
Yeah.
We still have the PS2 Slim.
No, actually, that's a different one. This is a story that's only going to be relevant to you, but not to anybody else listening. But that one broke, then I bought one a few years ago off Amazon for like about 40 quid. Yeah. So it is.
I didn't even realise.
No, but at first I was like, "This is my PlayStation 2," and then after a bit, I was just like, I got a bit older. I'm like, I don't really care. Anybody could use it. Our other brother Tom's the only one that really uses it. Our first Twitter follower, Tom.
Yes, nice.
Represent.
I didn't know we had a Twitter, but I will rep that.
Rep that. Yeah, we have a Twitter and an Instagram. No, we don't have an Instagram. I just lied. We have an email. We'll get an Instagram, although the Instagram will just be pictures of this room, which is, I'm not going to say anything, but it's very unflattering, isn't it? Anyway, so the game's Wikipedia entry opens with, the game follows the Simpsons family and their friend, Apu Nahasapim Mapeltilion. That's his son. I butchered that because I just read it as it came up, because it's such a long...
Did you even practice that before?
Nope. Because I forgot it was it. But yeah, that's because you play as the Simpsons family and Apu, and that's it. You don't play as anybody else.
Yeah.
But they witness many strange incidents that occur in Springfield. Security cameras, mysterious vans, crop circles, and a new and improved flavour of a popular soft cola drink, Buzz Cola, which causes insanity. Taking matters into their own hands, they discover numerous shocking secrets and soon realise these incidents are part of a larger alien conspiracy caused by Kang Kang, and Kodos. And that is scarily accurate to what the actual game is. Minus it talking about the gameplay. It does touch on the gameplay a little bit because it says things about mysterious vans, security cameras. Because the cameras are those wasps, aren't they? And you have to like jump kick them. You have to like Street Fighter style jump flying kick.
Yeah.
And things like that. And you've got crop circles. Are there any? Obviously there are.
I
crop
remember
circles.
some of them, but I don't remember many of the details of any of them.
No, me neither. I just think they probably like got the Buzz Cola logo, which is that weird bean shaped thing with the eye on it. Yeah, because the game opens with Krusty the Clown doing a Buzz Cola ad, and there's the guy who's dressed as a giant Buzz Cola can.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and then you get further in the game, and Kang and Kodos are the bad guys, which I think it's a good move because it keeps it in the. I'm glad they didn't come up with new Simpsons characters just for the game. It's like they really decided to just go with what the Simpsons is. Keep people familiar. And as mentioned, this was essentially a GTA clone, and it came out around 2 years after GTA 3, so after, the first 3 GTA. Then the major difference is being that it was a Simpsons license, and I've got here that actually the rating was 7+ here in the UK back when. I think that's before they changed it to whatever, and it's got more simple gameplay. Yeah. Basically, yeah. And have you played any of the GTAs? I know you've played 5.
Played 5, played 4, and I played San Andreas as well.
I played a little bit of San Andreas. I think it's a bit before our time in the sense of if we played it when we were younger, it would have stuck with us.
Yeah.
This is like our San Andreas in a lot of ways.
Yes, yeah, because, like, weren't really allowed to play GTA
when we were like 12.
Well, it was even before then as well, wasn't it, though? I've played San Andreas since just because of, obviously, it's got a lot of the cultural impacts about it.
It's one of the, if you're a gamer, it's like you should probably give it a go.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you got Big Smoke. I just went for a deeper voice for Big Smoke, and I don't know if it worked.
No, I'm not sure.
And you got CJ.
Yes.
Oh, you got that meme. This is completely unrelated, but the CJ meme where he's like, shit, here we go again.
Yeah.
That's a great meme. That's a great meme. And a lot of this podcast does, like the last 4 episodes, if you listen back to them, it's just me saying things that I like and recommending them, like that meme, for example, or like, this film or this show's great and whatever. But, goodness me.
Well, it's about time.
So, let's get on to the conceptualization and the actual development of the game itself. Yeah. Ooh, spicy. Nice. The team behind the game wanted to cash in on the GTA craze, which is fairly obvious considering GTA 3 had just come out a couple of years before. But they knew they had to differentiate this game from The Simpsons Road Rage, which is a Crazy Taxi ripoff. Like, not in the sense where you wouldn't say Simpsons Hit and Run is a ripoff of GTA, would you? Say it's like inspired gameplay-wise, and it does its own thing in a lot of ways. Yeah. But Simpsons Road Rage, made by Radical Entertainment, the same people that made this one, I've watched gameplay of it, it's literally just Crazy Taxi. Like, 100%.
Yeah.
And it's cringe how close it is. It's just like Crazy Taxi, but with Simpsons on top of it. So, because of that, Sega, who published Crazy Taxi, actually sued them.
Yeah.
Yeah. For real?
That's mad.
Yeah, it is mad. And
I mean, not mad that they sued them, but
it's mad that it happened.
Close enough that they felt like they could,
They could, yeah. And the lawsuit hasn't had any public thing about the outcome.
Yeah.
And I don't think it ever will, considering it's probably ages ago. But I would imagine if you put the games side by side, Radical Entertainment probably lost that. But then again, how would they have made The Simpsons Hit and Run if they had to give a load of money? Maybe it was the publisher to do. Again, I don't know. I don't know enough about legal systems. I don't know about you, Michael.
I mean, yeah, like you said, it depends. It depends who. It depends who Sega actually sued.
Yeah, if it was
the developers or the publishers.
If it was the developers, they wouldn't have made this one. They wouldn't have had the money. Yeah, it's probably the publishers then. Or was it just Fox?
Yeah.
Oh, they could. Yeah, and then they would have been able to pay that off really easily. I mean, look it up yourself if you want to really know. I don't think you'll find anything apart from the fact that they decided to sue. You won't find anything after that because I couldn't. But so it's a GTA clone, but the team wanted to include the on-foot platforming aspects of the game to breathe more life into Springfield, as they felt the Simpsons IP offered so much more and to be explored and referenced than just doing it in a car. And this is where the game actually sort of shines in a lot of ways, I would say, because you can jump around, you can press those little buttons, can't you, and they play audio, not from episodes all the time, but audio related to something, because you can run around in the first level. I remember you could do. You couldn't go run around in Mr. Burns' mansion, could you? Because that had you had to drive through that.
You had to drive through most of it.
Yeah, there was the power plant. You could jump around. There was a little platforming bit in there. Yeah, it does platforming challenges as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Do you remember the Quickie Mart? And there was the what do you call it? Like a truck, and you had to press the button and jump on the box, and then
yeah. I know which one you mean.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. When designing the world, the team thought it necessary to include some Simpsons landmarks, and I've just said here, quickfire, name as many Simpsons landmarks as you can. Go. Just name places in the Simpsons.
The Simpsons house, the church.
What's the address of the Simpsons house?
I couldn't tell you.
I was going to say Springfield Avenue. Then it's not. It's Green something, is it? I don't know.
I'm not enough of a Simpsons buff.
Simpsons buff. Yeah, me neither, to be honest. But go again. So you've got Quickie Mart, Simpsons house, the church where Reverend Lovejoy is.
You've got the donut place.
The donut, Lard Donuts. That's
it.
Yeah.
Obviously,
the school.
Power plant.
The school.
Yes, the school. You've got obviously the mansion.
We've got Mr. Burns' place.
Mr. Burns'
mansion. The monorail. That's not really like a land. Well, I suppose it's a landmark in the game at least,
but not particularly.
The Simpsons. Come on, I was going to say the dome, but that's not really like that. Just takes over.
It was in the movie for one bit, wasn't it? Like
that cabin they go to in the movie. That's a Simpsons landmark. Everyone remembers that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
You actually remember? Yeah. I can't think of any more.
I've not watched Simpsons in a while, though.
I mean, we did all right though, and I think Quickie Mart, a lot of the big ones that you think of when you think of the Simpsons are in the game, pretty much.
Yeah.
The church is in it, but you can't go in.
Yeah.
The school's in it, and you can go in the school. Other bits and bobs, obviously, like the house, but you can't go upstairs in the house. If you remember, to go into the kitchen, there's a baby gate.
Yeah.
And you just can't get in. And sometimes characters will walk behind it. It might be Grandpa, like, oh, where did I put my feet?
He has detachable feet.
That Simpsons Grandpa catchphrase, where did I put my feet?
They're going to put it in the next episode now.
Yeah.
Matt Gordon's going to listen to this podcast.
And he's going to be like, that's brilliant. Grandpa has robot feet.
Yeah.
Which would sort of show how The Simpsons has gone downhill after like season 8. Was it season 8 that a lot of people...
Something around then, yeah. I think it was, most people consider it well before the film came out.
Yeah. Because I liked the film.
I like the film. It's because I was young. I was quite young, so when it came out, it wasn't. I didn't look at it with much of a critical eye as I do now, but I still think it's enjoyable.
So yeah, in terms of Simpson landmarks, 20th Century Fox and Matt Groening were brought onto the project to help make the world feel like a 3D rendition of the show. Like they would talk back and forth with them and be like, well, let's say if we were going to do suburban Springfield, where would the Quickie Mart go? And Matt Groening would be like, Groening?
I say Groening.
Yeah, sorry, Matt, if you're listening.
If you're listening.
We've got my brother and Matt Groening that listen to this podcast. No, but yeah, so they bring them on just to sort of make sure that everything felt just right, because obviously a lot of the people that were making the game were fans of The Simpsons, but that can only go so far when you're not made the show and you don't, because you'd imagine in the writer's room I wouldn't say they have a map of Springfield, but all the writers probably like, well, this is where this is roughly, this is where that is roughly, and that's going to influence maybe certain scenes in the show or going from one scene to another, that kind of thing. So they brought them on, which I think it's good, just generally speaking, to have that sort of support from the actual creators. Because imagine if you made, I don't know, I'm trying to find a way to dig a certain video game, but I don't know which one to dig. Let's say you were a certain game company that bought a property about 200 years after a nuclear war set in like a 50s America, and you bought that from somebody else, but then you didn't bring them on to help. So the more games you release, the less it feels like the original product.
The worse it got. But when the original studio came back and did a version of it, it was actually the best version, the best modern version of it.
And then when Bethesda decided to put Battle Royale into this certain franchise, people lost it, not in a good way. We're talking about Fallout.
Yeah, well, if you didn't guess by the Bethesda name drop.
Yeah, but we should do a Fallout episode, actually. Probably like the first or second. I'd say do the first one. because that's the problem. Not the problem as such with this show, but when I research something, it's like I wouldn't research, let's say, Crash Bandicoot 2 or Crash Bandicoot 3, because a lot of this sort of thrill of how it gets made is the first one, how they like when sequels they do a lot of the same thing again. They've already got the groundwork made, so it's a bit of a struggle to then be like, in the second one, I don't know, nothing. They just made the second one, which is a bit of a shame. As I said, they brought Matt Groening and 20th Century Fox on, and they actually brought the entire voice cast on. So anybody that voices anybody in the game is the original voice.
Yeah.
So you've got the guy that does Homer. I forget his name. He also did the genie in Aladdin in the second and third one. Well, he recorded for the third one, and then they got Robin Williams back. So yeah, you get all the famous characters like the Simpsons and Apu, who you get to play as, and that's it.
Yeah.
No, but
all those voice actors. But...
yeah, but there's not actually that many voice actors on The Simpsons, is there? Because they do a lot of different voices, don't they?
Yeah. They give actors quite a few different roles.
Which I think that's just a voice acting thing, innit? Because if you had to bring in somebody for each individual character, especially if they had like 2 lines, you'd be spending so much money.
Yeah.
So it's like, why don't you just do this voice? Just do like a Mo voice where he's like, "Is there a icy wiener?" God, no, that's the kind of thing that would happen to Mo, isn't it? Bat would ring up and be like, prank call him. You'd fall for it every time. You could do that in the game as well. You could like go into because on the Bart level you could go into Mo's tavern and you could talk to Mo and he would like prank him and stuff. It's quite fun. That those little things again, like little sort of references, and make it like extending jokes in a lot of ways instead of just rehashing them. But the game had the associate producer Tim Ramage, who said in terms of the voice cast that they were the best there is. And when he said, all I found for that quote was him saying they're the best there is, but it's like, are they the best there is in voice acting or the best there is in voicing Simpsons characters? Because in terms of voicing Simpsons characters, they're the only ones that do it. So of course they're the best. I think he means best just in terms of voice acting.
Yeah.
Because imagine if he just went, these are the best people to voice Simpsons characters. It's like, no, these are the only ones, Tim. He's like, what? Whilst the fandom wiki page for the game doesn't offer as much on the game's development, it does contain one of the, now I mean this, worst pieces of trivia I have ever seen. Like, if you go on a fandom wiki page, they usually have like things about plot, things about development, but they're never that in-depth. Most in-depth bits are the ones right at the bottom where it says trivia, and they have little bullet point pieces of trivia. And the first one that I found reads, in level 7, when trying to force Snake into driving him to the spaceship to blow it up, Homer blackmails him by threatening to flip Snake, the bird. Ironically, Homer would in fact do a double flipping bird in the Simpsons movie against a congregated mob. You know, the bit where he's in the hole and he's like...
Yes.
Now, that, it might be vaguely interesting, but it's clutching at such straws. It's like Homer mentions this thing to one character, and then in a Simpsons actual thing he does it. It's like the Simpsons have been going for like 30 years. Odds are like that South Park joke where they say Simpsons did it. Yeah. It's like, what kind of a fact is Homer says something and then does it in a different...
There's so much content that he's probably done, like so many things that he can call references to before.
Yeah, trivia is just one character says this and then does it.
Yeah, I know.
It's not exactly brilliant, but it does remind me of that bit in the Simpsons movie where he flips. That's a good bit, to be fair. Where he just like swears at them.
And then he just like stops.
Yeah, because he's got his big he's got like his beer belly. Rotund. He's like a ball attached to like not a tube, like a cylinder, and then his head. But this page also, the fandom page, also contains one goof. Now, when I say goof, I mean it's got trivia, and then underneath that it says goofs, and I'm like, goofs? So I read it, and it says, Bart's first level is on October 26th. According to the newspaper, in his first mission, Milhouse warns him that Principal Skinner is looking for everyone who skipped school that day. The game is, presumably, set in 2003. October 26, 2003 was a Sunday. So again, they're awful trivia fact is, so Milhouse tells Bart to watch out for Principal Skinner, and it's set on this day, but and it's a school day, but the actual day in real life was a Sunday, so there would be no school. I'm like, what kind of a fact is that?
I also think maybe, well, it could have been a joke about Skinner not knowing when school was or wasn't.
Yeah, true. Actually, there might be more to it, but then again, you'd feel like the goof page would actually. Have that in.
The person who's written the goof page is like. I mean, the fact that it says goof though might imply that it's meant to be a joke. But then, why would you have a specific bit for jokes in a Simpsons game? Like, it's going to have quite a lot of jokes. You got to write them all down.
And there was like
why single that?
There was like another goof, and that was like. The month it has in the game isn't a real month. That was a joke. It doesn't say that, but there was another goof, and it's just something about as useless and boring as that. Yeah. Like, that's it for trivia and goofs. They're just not. They're not interested. Like, I'm about to tell you some stuff about this game that's really quite interesting, but they're like, there was this thing about a school day, but it was actually a Sunday in real life. It's like, cool.
I guess there's not as much effort gonna get put into it.
It's a Simpsons fan page.
A fandom wiki about Simpsons Hit and Run.
Over a podcast about Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yeah.
Because I would say, care about it. He says, and then this gets published, and it's like terrible. Nah, I'm trying out here, you know. I'm grinding. We grinding.
Getting the grind on.
Getting the grind. Let's get this bread. I was going to say, let's get this grind, but that's like...
No, thanks.
No, that sounds wrong. But not too much of the game seems to have been changed before its release, as GameSpot claims to have played the first 3 missions of the game, which remained exactly the same, although some camera issues were present in the sort of build that they were given, that GameSpot were given, but that weren't present in the final game. But they're basically saying, it seems like... Because, you know, sometimes in games they have... These days, it's especially prevalent where... They'll do that thing where their E3 demo, for example, is nothing like... Well, not nothing like... They changed so much of it because it's condensed, like in Watch Dogs, where they made it graphically incredibly impressive, and then it wasn't exactly a bad game, but I think the fact that it was not that graphically impressive really made people sour.
Yeah.
And a lot of them do that. A lot of them, like, even the new God of War has, like, a scripted sort of in like E3 demo. They all do it these days. I think it's just production value, isn't it?
Yeah.
But back then they probably couldn't. They were like, we're going to have to make this and you were just going to have to play it or record it. And then make sure it's recorded to
It's probably more of a critical reaction first off to see how people respond to it.
Yeah. Like the raw part of the game instead of like, we're going to show it you, we're going to let you actually play it and this is what it's going to be like. But some of the most interesting things that I found out about the game and the developers at Radical Entertainment come from some of the... It's like it's not a Reddit AMA, because it's not on Reddit. It's on this, like, fan page in the middle of, like, I don't know, the middle of nowhere, the black... Not the black web, the dark web of the internet. Not literally, but, you know, like, something you'd find in the corners of the internet after you Google something incredibly specific and then go 6 pages in and click something that has, like, 3 clicks.
Yeah.
And it's like Nigerian prince asking for your money code or something.
That's the result before that one.
Yeah. So it makes this seem like not real at all. But so there's a user on it called, I'm going to butcher this, but it's spelled Noviwan. So I'm saying Noviwan, like Obi-Wan, Noviwan.
Yeah. And
that's the guy's username. And it seems like, I'll get to it, but it seems like this is actually a developer of the game talking because of the way that people are responding. There's people who are really into the games talking to him and they seem to believe that it's him. I think that it is him and he's just found something where fans congregate about the Simpsons Hit and Run and he's decided to talk about it. So apparently he worked on the game and he was asked how the development was challenging and I think it's a guy, but I'll just say they say that it was Radical's first time in a game where you would get in and out of cars and explore the environment, as we were mentioning before, because you know it's like GTA. And so there were lots of challenges in regarding how they were going to learn a completely new game style in character movement, platforms, and camera controls. So Radical Entertainment hadn't really done anything like that before. They're more like sports games or, you know, driving games.
Yeah.
Like, so they couldn't really get to grips with that. Now, that's not that interesting, but they said that they had to keep faith that it would be an open world game. And then Noviwan, this is a quote, says that more than the sum of its parts, it was going to be. That's what it was. Because there was a lot of times in development when he says, he didn't give this person's name, but he said there was a naysayer in one of the meetings who just stood up in the middle of the meeting and just went, the game would never be fun! Yeah, I know. It's like, he's working on the game and he's like, this isn't going to be fun, guys. It's going to be terrible. Basically what he's saying there is that they had to stick to a vision. They were like, this is what we want to make. We're not going to compromise that. And I think that comes through in the game because a lot of the time games get overbloated or shifted their vision, and you can sort of tell. Like, again, coming back to it, have you played the new God of War yet? I know you've played the old one, but when you play it, you'll realise that it has one core thing going down the middle, and it sticks to it the whole way through. And I think especially with art and video games and things like that, because you're experiencing it, you want to have that through line. And this sounds like it's getting really deep for the Simpsons Hit and Run, but the Simpsons Hit and Run does have that. It has like a structure, how it wants you to play the game, and it does that the whole time, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like you do your driving and your jumping and your driving. It's basically you drive and jump. And you sometimes kick, as we were saying. Like, do you remember? This is a bit off topic, but do you remember when you could just you could kick like anybody in the game when they fall over, and then sometimes you kick them and they fly into the air. Yeah. I just go around kicking Milhouse, to be honest with you. That is funny. He's like, everything's coming up, Milhouse, and it's like, not today, Milhouse. And you're just kicking him while he's down, and they do that weird like wobble. I'm doing the hand action, like they just like wave their arms and legs about loads. It's great. What's your favourite thing about Simpsons Hit and Run, actually? Because I think that's probably worth asking.
I think mine, it was probably something we mentioned before, and it was basically seeing the locations from the actual TV show, because, you know, I don't watch Simpsons that much anymore, but I used to watch it, you know, on and off during the... what would you say? The noughties?
The noughties! We're a bit too young to like say we grew up in the noughties. I think we grew up in the tens more than like grew up. Like we obviously were alive in the noughties and we experienced it, but I think we actually grew up.
I definitely couldn't say I grew up in the 90s.
Oh, bloody hell, no.
I'd say in the noughties is perfectly acceptable, but
yeah,
for me it was because I love anything like that where it's where you see something from a TV show or a movie and someone's put it into a game, even if it's, you know, it's using an engine to build something else, or it's a game actually like has got the license for this particular thing.
Mm-hmm.
For me, that was definitely my favorite bit of it.
Like bringing the Simpsons world to life, basically.
Exactly. Yeah. I just because it's I don't know what it is for me about it, but it's just. Is going through and seeing all like the locations that you see in the show, basically going in and exploring it for yourself.
Yeah, that's quite cool. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like you can jump around on the monorail from the monorail episode, and things like that. I keep mentioning like 3 or 4 different things, but I can't remember everything that was in the game because all I know is that it definitely was crammed with Simpsons references, but as you were saying, we're not Simpsons buffs, so I can't remember all of them. I just have specific ones that stick out in my memory for whatever reason, like Robosaurus.
Yes.
You know, the giant car scrap dinosaur thing that Bart has to fight in his little... because Bart's signature car is
There's a tyre thing as well.
The tyre thing?
Big tyre
the tyre that you...
Fire. Yes,
and then when you drive over it, like the camera pulls out as if it's like one of those stunt jumps in GTA 5.
I remember that as well.
And you'd always try and get over it, but then if you butchered it, you just land on the tyres and it like respawn you stuff because it couldn't blow the car up. Oh, that's the thing in the Simpsons when cars like got destroyed, they were just like the like black like frames and they go really slowly. Yeah. Oh, that was great. I love doing that for some reason. Like you just drive around in it really slowly. It was kind of fun for like 5 minutes and then it wasn't because they're really slow. But talking about, remember before I said that Groening and Fox were like involved with the development of the game? Well, you know how in the game you go to those phone booths and you call the car in?
Yeah.
Now, originally, it was going to be like a cell phone that you could carry around. And when the developers told Fox about that and Matt Groening, Matt was like, in The Simpsons, they don't actually have cell phones yet. He didn't say when it was set, but he was like, they are currently, timeline-wise, before cell phones. So they had to then change it to make it into like a phone booth.
Yeah.
Which I think is really interesting, actually, because cell phones obviously were around at the time in primitive forms, but it's good.
They were starting to get popularized, weren't
they? Were like the ones in The Matrix, which are like, you know, the big ones, and I'd say The Matrix.
I'm not sure about that. They'd be kind of Nokia-ish type stuff.
Not quite like the bricks with like the massive antenna that you pull out.
That's like
80s,
90s. That is.
That's like rich people in the 80s.
Yeah.
They're like, "Hello, Janine. I have a business call at 6," and then
Stock
Janine's
traders.
yeah, and then on the other end, it's just
Yeah, exactly.
Because you'll be a stock trader, you'd be in New York, you'd have no signal because you just have there'd be skyscrapers everywhere, and your antenna's like, I don't know,
as big as one of them.
you'd have to like have it attached to like a blimp, so it drags it around. Like there's this massive like metal spire just going around New York City,
Exactly.
and all this they always get like tangled together, and people like you get like 30 meters down the street, and then you're like, what? You like fall over it. Oh, that'd be funny. That'd be great. But the same developer from before even writes a description of a typical day at the offices during the game's development. And they started by saying, let's just say it's a Tuesday, because on Tuesdays and Thursdays, the day started with an indoor game of ice hockey. Because, twist, these are Canadian developers from Vancouver. I mean, because mostly up to now I've basically talked about Japanese developers.
Yeah.
Because, Japanese people are the ones that make the best games, just saying.
It depends. I think
it's preference.
There's a lot of high quality games coming from Japan and Japanese studios.
I think it's in recently. I say recently, like the last 10 or 15 years or so, when Western development has when I say really taken off, I mean in terms of the gaming sphere. That's when Western development has become big. When people are like really interested in seeing what people from the West have made and stuff. Because like back then it was Simpsons Hit and Run. I can't imagine that got played in Japan, to be honest.
No, I'm not sure.
They're all busy playing Pokemons and Marios. Because The Simpsons wouldn't have a cultural impact in Japan, would it?
It depends. Like I know there's groups of people that like Americana type stuff, and obviously The Simpsons fits right into that. So.
That's like in Man in the High Castle, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's because I've not seen the show, but you've seen the show, and I'm reading the book. All of like the Japanese generals and stuff, and the people that come to like. What's the
San Francisco?
Yeah, but what's it called in the book and the series? Like, because the western part of America it's like something Pacific, not specific Pacific. Because it's because you got.
I know what you mean.
The Japanese
Pacific States or
yeah,
something like that.
Japanese own that part, and then
the German Reich or something like
that. Yeah, own the other half, and then the middle's just like dead no man's land because apparently it got nuked or something, didn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, so that kind of Americana thing, I don't think it would translate to Japan. But talking back, because we were actually talking about like where the developers are from and what they were doing. So they play games of ice hockey twice a week, and apparently the CEO even played too. And this Novi one actually has a lot of really good things to say about the CEO, because sometimes you hear things like Randy Pitchford from 2K, who recently, Troy Baker.
Yeah,
he plays. Reese in the Tales from the Borderlands games, but he didn't come back for Borderlands 3 because apparently Randy Pitchford physically abused him. And the guy that played Claptrap said that the work environment, especially around Randy Pitchford, was horrendous, so he didn't come back for the third one either.
Oh, that's a downer.
Yeah, people don't like Randy Pitchford, and then Randy Pitchford just goes to Twitter and guns down anybody you can find that disagrees with anything, and it's like, oh. But yeah, because I think you get people like that in any sort of industry when they're CEOs or higher ups.
Well, yeah, it's like people who go into positions like that. It attracts people that aren't, very good people, and so
like they're ruthless, and that's how they get there. But then
it gets to a point where they just have quite a high percentage of them are just really shitty people. Yeah,
but Novi one says that the CEO expected loyalty, but they knew it was a two-way street, so everybody always felt valued and important, and the CEO would go around the offices and make sure things are running smooth. Basically, he was a CEO, but he was one of those like stereotypical good CEOs that you see in like movies and stuff, if you know what I mean. One of the ones that's like, cool, bruh, how's it going, bruh? How's your coding, bruh? Why did I make him like a dude? I imagine him with like long hair and he's like smoking weed.
Yeah.
Like, he's nice, but he's only nice because he's like basically a hippie. And then you've got the other type of person who would be like in a suit and they're like, listen here, little man, you gotta make this game. You got no time at all. Oh, wait, that's just Rockstar.
Oh, yeah, I was going to say. Like,
got him.
80-hour work weeks, no breaks.
And then it comes out. And then it comes out that it's like, oh, no, but in Rockstar, we did 100-hour weeks, but it's only because everybody else did and we felt like we had to, or we felt passionate. It's like, no, mate, you're sort of covering your tracks there. It sounds like you were sort of expected to work 100-hour work weeks, but you weren't told that.
Yeah.
It was like, if you didn't, you get fired. I've talked about this a couple of times already on this show, but the sort of video game crunch and making people work so long, it's horrible.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
I absolutely hate it. I would not be upset if I had to wait another year for a game if the people that worked on it actually just like work normal hours.
I'd like lives die.
Because I value having a life.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's fair to just have people like that they feel like they have to work so much just to get, because it's mainly because of marketing and getting things out on a certain date, but it's like you should make sure that it's ready enough before you do that.
Yeah.
And then if you want to work longer hours, that's fine, you can do what you want, but it's a bit of a shame, isn't it? But it seems like the people that made Simpsons Hit and Run all had a jolly old time.
Yeah.
So this Novi one says that the building that they're in is like a massive 2-story open space, not a warehouse, but like a big area that's open, and basically you can walk around, and it's got a second floor on some parts, but it's not like cramped and you don't feel secluded. So it was so large, in fact, that it could fit a log cabin. So they put a log cabin in the offices, and it had like a huge editing room that you might find like a production studio, a kitchen, a hockey arcade game, pinball, and much, much more. And it was dubbed the Great Room, and it was like a social hub for the company. And this developer says that at weekends he'd often bring his kids into the developing studio to go into the big editing room, and they'd watch movies at the weekend, because they were all given like keys and stuff. And I think that little tidbit on its own, without him having to say it, proves that they had a good work environment, because he wants to go back at the weekends.
Yeah, that sounds like some proto Google headquarters.
Yeah, it does. It really does, actually. Do you reckon they all sat on beanbags?
Yeah, had slides for different floors and stuff. Yeah.
And then they'd have them like fireman poles that you go around the office in.
YMCA.
Yeah, and then like little like buggies they drive around the office to get to different places, and like ramps and stuff. No, it does. It sounds like a great place to work, to be honest.
Oh yeah, like I'd want to work there.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, I wouldn't be able to make a game. I'd be like, what does this do? And he'd be like, you'd press this, and then I'd just like press a button, and the whole of Simpsons Hit and Run would just be destroyed forever.
Yeah.
Which would be a real shame, because then we wouldn't have Simpsons Hit and Run. Imagine it, you have butterfly effect. Imagine if you went back in time, then you managed to go to the Simpsons Hit and Run office, and then you just deleted the game.
We won't be doing this podcast.
Yeah. Well, we won't be doing this episode. Maybe we won't be doing this podcast at all, because maybe nobody here would like have the same love for games, because it's one of the earliest games we played. I would say PS2 was like our first era of games. We played like a few Crash, Jack and Daxter, and Simpsons Hit and Run quite a lot, because it wasn't multiplayer, but it had something, and that comes through in the game where you can play it with people watching. It's like entertaining to just watch somebody drive around in Simpsons. But now we come onto the release and post-release part of the episode. We're absolutely blazing through this, aren't we? But for everybody listening, Michael just did you know the little... I'd say the phone thing where you stick your thumb and your pinky finger out, and then you like shake it.
It's not PK. I'm on the phone. I'm on the phone.
I'm on the phone.
I'm on the phone.
It's spitting. That's not going to translate to anybody that's not in the UK.
Yeah.
No, it's like our, I don't know, Kevin Hart, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah, he's one of them classic ones.
Like classic comedian, basically. Yeah, like the big ones. But then again, like Kevin Hart and Dave Chappelle have like transcended, because they're like, Kevin Hart's in movies and Dave Chappelle's got loads of stuff on Netflix. So I think we live in a crazy time. And then Peter Kay just in his little purple shirt just has to deal with like being on daytime TV, because he's not doing anything at the moment, is he?
I don't think he wants to do that much though, which is like fair.
Because he's got
enough money to.
Yeah, and he's been going for years.
Yeah,
he did like Phoenix Nights, and he did like stand-up tours and all that good stuff, and he did a carpool karaoke. Is it carpool? No, carpool karaoke is the James Corden one, isn't it?
Yeah.
What is it?
I know which one you mean.
Something car show. It wasn't.
It was some carpool show.
Because James Corden's is the one which is like they just sing, but his was like Peter Kay's was like a quote unquote show, because it had like actual structure, and it was they weren't playing themselves. Were they playing themselves?
I don't know.
But they were characters basically. They were written characters. They weren't just let's slap James Corden, David Beckham, and Idris Elba in a car and just sing, I don't know, a song from Cats in preparation for when two of those three are in Cats. Which we could talk about Cats for a minute if you want, and how weird that is.
That I didn't watch the trailer until I went to the movies about a month ago, and the problem is once you're already in there, you can't exactly like get up and leave for a trailer and then go back in. So I just had to sit through and watch this really awful. Honestly, it's kind of disturbing.
Yeah,
it
was
really
weird.
Doesn't settle well.
And there's the bit where they do some of the trailers that you'll see in the cinema. I think they have these in America as well, is where they'll splice in like cast and crew members like sat in the studio talking about it. And the one that I heard when we went to the cinema the other day was someone, I think it was Idris Elba, just going like, well, what they had to do, he's not American, but you know, he's like, what they had to do was they had to, I'm doing it again, I'm speaking Idris Elba as he's American, we're just going to go with it. He was like, what they had to do is you had to make the sets big so they were the size for actual cats. And when he said actual cats, I was just like, oh my god, what are they doing? I'm like, oh, but they don't look like actual cats. They look like, and I'm not going to mince my words, furries.
They do, yeah.
They look like photorealistic fur, and it's uncomfortable.
No, I don't.
Like Idris Elba's character has like a big coat on, but it's like, is that another cat that he's killed, or is that his actual fur?
I didn't even think about that. Well, that'd be brutal, mate.
Is it a cat that he's killed?
Someone else's skin as a coat,
or is his coat the skin? Like, is his body just look like a coat for some reason, or is it a small leather coat that cats make? So many questions. So many questions about the Cats trailer. Oh.
Stick to theatre.
Yeah. Because Cats is weird. Even
Either
the
that,
theories.
or just use cats. Just use CGI actual cats.
Like, do a Lion King thing, but maybe put a bit more emotion on the face and just animate the mouths. Yeah, I would have said just do that. It's like Lady and the Tramp's getting a live action remake on Disney Plus, and I would say that would work because it's it's a collection of dogs. That's fine, but it's not. They've not gone for furry human dogs that run around and sing. And then it's also Cats is presented like it's on a stage. So I'm like, so it's a film. It's presented like it's on a stage because you've made massive sets, and then it's people who look like furries. I'm like, that's not a mix. That mix does not work on its own. Just in one piece of media, it's like, I'm not a fan.
Yeah, no.
But anyway, let's get on to the actual release and post-release of The Simpsons Hit and Run, because that's what this podcast is about, not about Cats. Every week we'll just bring it back to Cats until Cats comes out, and then we'll do an episode about Cats.
I don't mind doing that. I mean, I'm going to be scarred after. But
yeah, we could do that actually. We'll do like, it's not going to fit in with the show at all, so we'll do like, I don't know, a 15-20 minute review special on Cats. Like, if we're still excited for it, not in a good way, just because we want to see how terrible it's going to be, we can do a little film special on Cats, and we'll just record that in like 20 minutes and do that. But anyway, The Simpsons Hit and Run garnered mostly favourable reviews, with the general consensus being of praise of how the game successfully moved The Simpsons from 2D to 3D and from TV to video games, because I don't know if I've never played this one, but there was a Simpsons arcade game, like a left to right walk beat 'em up style.
I know which one you mean, but I've never played it.
I've never played it either. I've seen little bbits of footage on YouTube, but apparently that's like the only other best Simpsons game, or the one where you play as Bart on the Super Nintendo or something like that.
Yeah.
Because I can't think of many massive Simpsons games. You've got this one, maybe the Simpsons game.
I know the Simpsons game.
I had it on PSP.
You used to play it. Yeah. You used to have it.
It was alright. It was just like a 3D platformer through. It wasn't like necessarily special, but it wasn't necessarily terrible either. It was more fantastical than Simpsons Hit and Run. It leaned outside of the Simpsons a little bit more.
Meta. I mean, you meet God in it, don't you? And
oh my god, you do. And God has loads of like. I was going to say he has loads of benders, he has benders from Futurama that he sends after you, and then it turns out that Matt Groening's in the game as well.
Yeah.
Actually, that is a good game. I forgot. Like,
I was looking at buying it a couple of weeks ago, but then I didn't really follow up on it. But
we could do an episode on that at some point. Because I remember it being, not after this one, because you can't do two Simpsons games back to back.
No.
We'll just garner a Simpsons audience that think that all we talk about is the Simpsons and Cats. We'll change this podcast to a Simpsons and Cats podcast.
Yeah.
Every week, talk about two things exactly the same. They never change. But so the game even received a Nickelodeon Kids' Choice Award for, and this is actually what the award's called, Fave Game. in 2000 because it's trying to be hip and
Kids' Choice Awards. Honestly, like
you get slimed, you get rewarded the fave game. It's like just call it favorite game.
Yeah, nah. I just
yeah, that's cringe. Because there's certain things. Yeah, you might say to somebody in passing, unironically, but not trying to be funny. You might just say the word fave. No one's gonna like bat an eye at you, but as soon as you name an award fave game, it's like if you use yeet in like an official context, it's like, what are you doing?
What you mean, Coke, like Coca-Cola?
Yeah, because we were saying we were in work the other day, and they had a. Was I on with you?
Yeah, no, yeah. And they started stocking in the new Coke cans
because they have. For anybody listening, we're talking about when Coke cans have words on them and people's names. They've started putting phrases on them.
Yeah, like yeah, and stuff like that. And it's just like, nah.
As soon as I saw yeet on the side of a Coke can, I was like, I'm not saying yeet anymore.
It's just something about like corporate trying to.
It's like sometimes they miss the mark. Yeah. But sometimes they get it exactly right. But it's like, is it the Vine? Yeah, it's the Vine where the girl gets the can and goes, "This bitch empty." Is that a Coke can?
It might be, but I'm not too sure.
Because if it is, that's come full circle.
Yeah, if they did it because of that, that'd be fine. But they've not. They've done it as some like weird corporate kind of like, I'm John Johnson and I'm trying to connect with the kids because I can't connect with my own or something like that. Like,
God,
that's what they tried to do it for.
And now, what I'm about to tell you, might actually indicate why this game, not why this game, but it might give a reason for how this game was so big in the UK and then sort of nowhere else, really, because it came out in 2004, 2003, and by 2007 the game had sold 3 million copies, which for PS2 era, pretty good.
That's impressive.
Yeah.
That is impressive.
And then it gained the Diamond Sales Award, which indicates over 1 million sales in the UK alone. And I'm thinking, that explains why it's so big for pretty much everybody I talk to in this country.
Yeah.
Because everybody I know had a copy of the Simpsons Hit and Run. But
either that or has played it, someone else's copy or something like that.
Because if you think about it, let's say the game sold roughly 3 to 4 million just over its lifespan of actual copies. If over 1 million of those are in the UK, which is a tiny country, and then the rest are in, let's say, America, which is where The Simpsons is from. You think how big America is? How many people actually played that game then?
Yeah, that's
in
true.
This country, it's almost like every kid played it.
Could be about 1 million households across the country having a copy of it. That's an insane reach.
Considering there's 60 odd million people in this country, so there's less than 60 million households. It's almost like you might be confident in saying that every PS2 had a copy of Simpsons Hit and Run in this country, or almost every single one.
It could have been.
Because
I'd say it's definitely a decent amount.
Yeah, because you think about it as well. It's The Simpsons, it's recognisable, and parents might buy it for the kids because they wouldn't think, it's quote unquote like GTA and ever so slightly violent because you can kick Milhouse in the groin 1 million times.
Yeah,
but they wouldn't realise that. I would say they'd see Homer running away on the front cover, where he's running away and he's like and his tongue sticking out. They'd see that and it's a Simpsons game, and it's like, I don't know, just like an action game or something, and they'd be like, let's just get it for my kid because my kid watches Simpsons on a Saturday morning. Or your kid would see it and go, "Mum, can we get this? Because I like The Simpsons." And I think that's probably why it had such a reach over here. Maybe it's something to do with the fact that, as I was saying, it's rated 7+. So any parent that sort of knows what that means would be like, look at it and go, "Oh, it's 7+. It's fine for my kid to play this."
Yeah.
Yeah. Even though it's 7+, but the game's hard as all hell.
It is difficult. I remember that's a lot of the memories I have of it is watching other people be good at it rather than myself.
People speedrun The Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yeah.
Oh, people definitely speedrun Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yeah.
With its really weird, floaty driving controls. Not bad driving, but they are quite floaty. It's a bit like GTA 4.
Yeah.
Because GTA 4, it feels like you're in a hovercar the whole time. Because they drift. It's almost like you're driving on wet surfaces all the time. It's really horrible. I would say GTA 4's driving. I didn't play GTA 3, but GTA 5's got good driving. And then San Andreas, it has good cycle controls, I think, from what I remember.
Good cycle controls.
Yeah. GTA 5's cycle controls are alright as well. It's very much like when you're on a bike, if you don't slow down and you try and turn, you're screwed, basically.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a real bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. But as we've talked about GTA so much in this, and it was largely found that this game was an excellent GTA 3 clone. Like, it was labelled as a GTA 3 clone because I think in terms of marketing and reviews, that's the easiest thing to call it. But as we were saying, it might not necessarily be as much as a clone as Road Rage was a clone of, or blatant ripoff of Crazy Taxi. But it's interesting when you think about how large GTA is, which has an R rating for in America, or 18 over here, and then how this game didn't really get a sequel, but how GTA is sticking to that sort of formula, and it's huge. And Simpsons, they did it once and they just didn't do it again. So imagine if they made another one.
Yeah.
Imagine if we had, like, you've got...
I'd buy it. I'd definitely buy it if they made another one.
Like, if we lived in a world where it was FIFA and PES, COD and... I was going to say Medal of Honor, but Medal of Honor's not that big anymore.
Battlefield, wasn't it?
Battlefield. COD and Battlefield, and then Simpsons Hit and Run series and Grand Theft Auto. I still think Grand Theft Auto would be absolutely massive in comparison. I don't think, you know.
Well, yeah, I mean, they make releases so sparse Rockstar, don't they?
Yeah, basically.
So they keep people wanting it.
Yeah. Rockstar, even though they have different types of, like, Red Dead Redemption is I would actually say a GTA, maybe not the second one, but the first one, it's a GTA clone, but with cowboys in a lot of ways. It is different, but that at its core, they realised the formula for GTA works, so they did the same thing for Red Dead.
Yeah.
But Games Radar say that it can't be GTA on the bloody Rampage front, and that Village Voice called it funnier than GTA clones, funnier than recent Simpsons, which it seems like there's reviews that went both sides of the path then, because you've got Games Radar saying it doesn't beat GTA as a bloody Rampage, but it's like, but this game isn't trying to be a bloody Rampage, is it? It's just a Simpsons game. And then the other one saying that it's funnier than recent Simpsons and more fun than GTA clones. Now, recent Simpsons, what season would they be on in, like, 2004?
Oh,
well over 10, wouldn't they? Because they're on like 20 odd now.
Around that, I'd say. So
this might be around the time of the fall of the Simpsons, and I think that's the reason that Village Voice were like, it's funnier than recent Simpsons, because Simpsons were on a bit of a downhaul. I don't remember how funny Simpsons Hit and Run actually was. I mean, I guarantee I laughed at it when I was younger, but I don't know if it was like actual good jokes, or if it's just Simpsons quotes that are funny.
Yeah, I think that's probably it more than just like... A lot of the dialogue was. I think it was just funny bits in it.
Yeah, like funny little quips you get when you're driving or you do certain actions, like where Homer would go, "I'm like a candy wrapper in an off draft." Yeah. When he'd like jump on the gas things, or he'd be like, "Ooh, the vibrations are tickling my feet." That was one that he'd say a lot, and that stuck in my head. And now, because I'd say we're coming up on time, because we try and make these around an hour. So I'm gonna, instead of reading what I've written for this next bit, I'm just sort of gonna rattle it off my head because I remember it. So essentially, Simpsons Hit and Run today has mods, and there's a community who made a thing called the Donut mod, which is trying to make the game harder, include extra missions and extra levels. And that developer I was talking about before, who did the sort of AMA, played it and actually said that it's one of the best like mods he's ever played, because in making the game he enjoys it slightly differently, but then when somebody else made this that he could play, he felt like he was playing The Simpsons Hit and Run all over again with fresh eyes.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that it has a modding community is really good, actually, as well.
Yeah, I didn't even know it did.
Yeah, because I was saying, I think I said this to you before we started recording, I was like, it'd be interesting to talk about, because I don't have a gaming PC, but you do, and you're like relatively well versed in mods, especially on games like Skyrim. You like to have like Thomas the Tank Engine flying about the sky, and you just hear in the distance.
Yeah, like I do like some mods on particular games. Yeah,
like Fallout and Skyrim have a lot of good mods.
Yeah, GTA is also good for modding.
Oh, it is, yeah, because you always see those videos, those trash videos on Facebook of like, there was one when Avengers Infinity War came out and it was like Thanos running about.
Yeah.
And then he'd get, oh, that's the dog. What else is there? What's she doing?
That's the Hoover going.
Is that the Hoover?
Yeah.
Well, we better wrap this up then.
Yeah.
We're getting on time anyway, but
Get
yeah, that's because we live in a house not on our own, ladies and gentlemen. We're not quite there yet.
Yeah.
Basically, we're losers. No,
it's just called the average millennial.
Yeah, it's a nice way of saying you're a loser.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, but I'll before we go to the outro, I'll touch on what Radical Entertainment are doing now. Well, they suffered from severe layoffs in 2012. So were you expecting I would say something really positive then? Like,
I mean, not particularly, but obviously the hit and run money didn't
last forever.
Yeah.
It didn't. They blew it all on cocaine.
Yeah.
That family man now lives in a cardboard box. He can't take his kids to watch films in the log cabin anymore. But the last game they made was Prototype 2. They're responsible for Prototype series. Yeah, those games weren't that bad. I think they just didn't sell as well as they would have liked, and that sort of meant that it sort of crumbled. And now these games that they've made, so where are they now? They're no longer a thing. Apparently they're just part of other studios. They've been absorbed into the publisher and things like that. But other games that they made are Crash Tag Team Racing and the 2 Incredible Hulk games. Now, Crash Tag Team Racing we used to play quite a bit.
Yeah.
I remember that's good. It's one where the cars could like move together.
Yeah.
But 2 Incredible Hulk games, we played the one based off Ang Lee's Hulk, didn't we? The one where you had to do stealth missions as Bruce Banner.
Yes.
They made that.
That is a really, really good game.
Yeah,
I didn't know that they'd made it, but I have a lot of good memories about that one as well.
Maybe we'll do that game some point down the line, as well as like a sort of pseudo sequel to this one, like a spin-off episode, because it's the same developers, unless they don't have any interesting stories, unless it's all about the log cabin.
More stories about people reminiscing about the log cabin.
Every corner of the internet
about the log cabin.
Radical's log cabin, episode like 25.
That's why they went out of business. Everyone was spending time in the log cabin.
Nobody was doing any work. But that's been another episode of the Retro Release podcast. Thanks for listening, and this was Michael's first episode.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're first of many.
Yeah, hope so.
We'll see what happens. I mean, I think we'll manage, because we live basically together at this point. We'll say it. We'll say it in a more adult fashion. We're roommates.
Yeah.
But we have different rooms, I suppose. Housemates. So we can do this. We can make sure we get one out a week, and we'll hope that everybody enjoys it. I hope everyone has enjoyed this episode. If you want to find us on Twitter, because at the beginning we mentioned we had a Twitter, it's Release Retro. Not Retro Release because somebody stole it. And I didn't want to say Release Retro and then a number. I thought Release Retro instead of Retro Release sounds better.
Uno reverse.
We'll find the person on Twitter, DM them a picture of an Uno reverse car.
Unoreverse.png.
And then it's like, he'll be like, "Oh, we've got you. Sorry, mate. You're gonna have to give us the You should have opened this. You're gonna have to give us the Twitter handle." We should actually do that. That'd be fun. I'll track him down.
Yeah.
I'll track him down. Maybe I'll ask him for it. Maybe see what happens. But then. We also have an email, which is I'm saying release retro again, because that's the retroreleasepod@gmail.com. And if you want to subscribe to us on Podbean, because that's where we're hosted, but then we also go on iTunes, which I think is where most people will listen, especially those who have iPhones, because it's on your phone, it's just easier to use. And if you want to give us a review, please do. I'm not going to say you have to give us a 5-star review, because it's not exactly, I would say at this point, a 5-star podcast, but just give us a review, constructive if you want to, it's fine. Because any sort of review sort of helps with the algorithm, much like how liking and commenting and subscribing and watching a video on YouTube helps it with the algorithm and stuff like that. So I've been Will, and
Michael as well.
I've been Will and Michael as well.
Yeah.
So I've been it's like I'm a ventriloquist. I've been doing both the voices for this the whole time.
I don't know where the hand's gone, but
that also means I have to use my voice on the mic across the room, so I have to bounce between the two. But thanks for listening, and we'll see you next time.